Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here at the bottom of my garden and I wanted to show you what a surprise I got. Now these pots that I have lined here, they're known as the beach spider lily. Now when I did see these spider lilies, and it has these beautiful flowers that open up and the petals just hang over, and they say it looks like a giant spider legs. But when I did see it, I said to my girlfriend, I really need to get this plant. So she bought me some plants, and what I actually did is I separated through propagation and made enough stock, and I'm keeping it here while I look for somewhere to position it. Welcome back to my channel. Let's talk about this beach spider lily and see how to propagate, because you too can have multitudes. So my name is Alice and I'm the red soil gardener. Join me. Now this beach spider lily, now the story behind it is like when those explorers were heading to South America and they got to Colombia, and suddenly they got on the beach and they found these amazing lilies that looked like spiders, the flowers, and so that's why it's called the beach spider lily. And there are many varieties. Now the variety I have, which I will show it on a photo because they do like full sun, and as we're going into our cold spell is the less flower they have. So I just managed to get some babies, and this is what we're going to work with today. Now if you look at the plant, which I've just uprooted, this is a babyish baby spider lily, because normally the bulbs are much bigger, and if you notice that these leaves, they're really quite strappy, but the thing about them is that they're not as big as the original, as when it matures. Now the thing about it, it's part of Amaryllis family. So now when we look at that, we're putting in agapanthus in there and also claviers. So basically it is the same family. And if you look at it, it's all clumped together, because the thing about this particular plant, it loves to be clumped together, and that's how it finds its safety net. It just stays like a clump. But occasionally what you need to do, maybe every 4 years, is go in there and separate it. It's very important for these plants to have an air circulation around it. Otherwise you'll end up with all sorts of bugs and pests and slugs, and also the Amaryllis caterpillar will start attacking it if it's weak. So the best thing to do is, when it does get really full, you start your propagation, which is division of your bulbs. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to take this and gently see if I can separate, and it's just to pull it apart. And if you do get stranded, as I am getting stranded, you get a knife. Okay, so what you do is you get a knife, and so what I'm going to do is just gently try to separate these roots, because basically all the roots are so intertwined that, there we go. So, yeah, I don't want to break anything. Maybe it's easier to just pluck one. Here we go. So all these little babies, what happens, there they are. These are your little spider lily plants, and if you do plant them, what happens in the end, the bulb does get really big and starts producing its own bubblets on the side. The bulbs will sort of also appear here, another bulb attached, and then when you do want to do another propagation, is you can remove that and that will grow. So as we see here, we have so many babies here, but as these are quite small, I would actually just plant them like that separately and wait for it to get into its own clump and form its own babies. And then what you can do later is actually separate. Now another thing what you could do with these babies is I've seen is where you just cut the top and just place it in water and it will grow, because they are aquatic and they do grow along water channels, so they do like water. So now what are we talking about in terms of sun? Is that what our spider lilies like is full sun, but they can actually do well in partial sun. Again, if you do have it in full sun, you will get more and more blooms. In partial sun, they won't bloom as much. What sort of soil would you get? I would go for a sandy, well-drained soil with a bit of organic matter in it, like compost with a bit of manure in it. And that is good, because once you have that drainage, you won't lose your bulbs through root rot. And then also what you could do is that once you do get the bigger bulb, I suppose we'd do another episode of it, you could actually even cut your bulb in half, and that will also produce your 2 separate babies, but that will save for another day. Now, what sort of water it wants? While it's growing like this, I would give it water, make sure that the soil is moist. Once it does set itself and is established, then you do give it less water, because it is actually quite drought tolerant. Again, what I mentioned earlier is that they do like to grow around in ponds. So if you do have a pond, grow a few spider lilies around, and when the flowers do come out and there is a fragrance of vanilla, that would be wonderful. Now what happens is that if you do get these spider lilies and basically you're in a cold zone, is I would actually bring them in during winter. I would dig them up before the first frost, take them and start your overwinter preparation and put it in a frost-free environment. And then all you have to do is you could separate the bulbs at that point and start your sort of division and propagation. Otherwise, you could leave it in its clump. And then what happens in winter is that it will go dormant. Once the dormancy starts, you give it less water, and once you do see the new shoots coming out as spring is approaching, is you start giving it more regular water. But basically is that they are very tender, frost tender, and they will die if you leave them out in the frost. So now that I've separated my spider lilies, beach spider lilies, what I will do with these ones is that I will repot it again, like similar to what we saw in the introduction, is I will pot it in a pot and let the bulbs get stronger and bigger. And then once it does get stronger and bigger, is I will now decide which part of my garden that gets the full sun that I can actually plant these plants. And so all I'd love to say is thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And don't forget to like and share and press that notification button. It means all these things mean a lot to us. And also subscribe and invite your friends, your family, your relatives to our channel. We are always talking about plants that do come up in spring, and so now that the summer is coming up, it's great that you can be able to propagate and grow your own stock. So thank you so much. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I do answer all the comments whenever I do get them, and also on YouTube. Do write me your comments. I love getting your comments. It always uplifts me. And thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Get yourself a few bulbs.